Today, we're diving into a really heartbreaking story. It's a cautionary tale called Use Like an ATM, Forgotten Like a Stranger. And this isn't fiction. It's a true story about just how devastating family manipulation can be.
Wow. I mean, the author kicks things off with that powerful statement, and it just hits you, right? It really sets the stage for the entire story. It's all about dignity, about control, and, the basic right to make your own choices, especially when you've already given so much of yourself to other people. So let's get into it. Section 1, used like an ATM. And like I said, this isn't some made-up drama. This is the real story of a man named Asad, and it shows us how compromising your own self-respect can, cost you absolutely everything.
So here's the thing about Asad. He was one of those people who genuinely believed his own goodness could change the people around him, that it could fix the toxicity. He tried to be the peacemaker. But, and this is the tough part, as we're about to see, in the tangled web of a joint family system, where you have multiple generations all living under one roof, that kindness, it didn't fix things. It was actually twisted and used as a weapon against him.
All right, Section 2, a tale of two brothers. To really get what went so wrong here, you have to understand the family dynamics first. And it all boils down to two brothers, living under the same roof, but they couldn't be more different.
And this really lays it all out, doesn't it? You've got two completely different worlds here. On one side, there's Asad, the silent guy, the dutiful son. He marries who his parents choose, a woman named Shibra, and he gives his entire salary to the family. Then you have his brother Ubaid, who the author calls the chirping bird. He marries the love of his life and is much more independent. You can already feel the tension, can't you? The stage for favoritism was basically set from the beginning. And of course, this dynamic had a huge impact on their wives. Shibra, Asad's wife, actually quit her job to manage the home, to serve the family. And for her sacrifice, she was treated like a maid and constantly taunted. Now compare that to Ubaid's wife. When she got pregnant, she saw the toxicity and just left. She went to her own family to protect herself. But Shibra, she stayed. She was loyal, even when it meant going to her own maternity appointments completely alone. The difference in how they were treated is just staggering. But here's what's important to remember at this point. Their bond, Asad and Shibra's, was actually really strong in the beginning. Even with all that pressure and hardship, Asad saw his wife as the one thing that kept him away from all the tension. She was his source of joy. She was his shield.
Okay, so Section 3, the tables turn. Because, that's exactly what happened. Everything was about to change. That low-level toxicity that was always simmering, it was about to explode.
And just look how fast this all goes down. The first domino is Ubaid's family returning to the house. And boom, the whole atmosphere changes overnight. The family starts ganging up on Shibra. And then the final, most devastating step, they start brainwashing Asad, turning him against his own wife.
And it worked. The constant pressure, the daily insults. Asad saw his wife just being broken down in front of him, and instead of defending her, he crumbled. The man who once saw her as his peace literally couldn't handle seeing her in pain. So he started smoking, just trying to cope with the stress.
And this is where you can really see the brainwashing taking hold. Shibra, she's trying to avoid making things worse, so she just stays silent. But Asad's mind has been so twisted by his family's whispers that he doesn't see her silence as her trying to keep the peace. He sees it as guilt. They had completely poisoned his perception of her.
In this line from the author, it's just chilling. He stopped investing love in Shibra and joined his family in sparking the fire against her. I mean, that's it. That's the point of no return. He didn't just step back. He actively joined in. The one person who should have been her defender was now on the attack.
And that betrayal, it leads us to the fourth part of this story, a point of no return. This is where we see the tragic, irreversible consequences. So Shibra, she tries one last time. She tries to clean up the mess, to reason with everyone. But it fails. And in that moment, when she realizes that even her own husband sees her as the burden, she knows it's over. There's nothing left to fight for. So she just leaves, silently. And this is where the author just has to ask, why do humans become so insane that they take others' lives just to satisfy their meaningless aims? And that's a question that really sticks with you, isn't it? I mean, what goal is so important that it's worth completely destroying another person's life?
For Asad, the realization of what he'd done, it came, but it was way, way too late. Within a month, he understood his mistake, but he felt the doors were closed forever. The author mentions meeting him just 4 days before he died, and he was in tears. The weight of his cruelty, of how he'd repaid all of Shibra's sacrifices, it was just too much. And in the end, overcome with it all, he ended his own life.
It's just such a huge loss for Shibra and for their daughter. And it wasn't just one thing, you know? It was this toxic cocktail of manipulation, backbiting, misunderstanding, and a total breakdown of trust. It didn't just break up a marriage, it left a child without her father.
So, where do we go from here? This leads us to the final section, the final haunting question. What can we possibly learn from a tragedy like this?
Well, the author gives us a term for this kind of environment, the joint family drama system. And it's a really good way to describe it. It's when a multifamily home stops being about support and starts being about internal politics, about favoritism and manipulation, and the results can be absolutely devastating for anyone who isn't the favorite.
And the story leaves us with some really clear lessons. First off, what you sow, you reap. Simple as that. Second, and this is crucial, don't trap a man in the middle, forcing him to choose between his mother and his wife. Third, if you can't accept your son's wife, then just let them live their own life. Because tormenting a couple is basically like taking revenge on your own blood.
And that really is the heart of the matter, isn't it? Asad was a card that his family played perfectly. As long as he was the ATM machine, as long as he did what he was told, everything was fine. But the second he might have acted on his own, the second he might have chosen his wife, the system punished him for it.
Which brings us to the final haunting question the author poses to Asad's family. Was your revenge worth the life of your own son? And really, what's the answer to that? What victory was there? It's a question that just hangs there, a brutal reminder of the real price of these family wars.